doctor. How are you today, sir?
Hello, my love. How art thou?
I don't even go there. I'm gonna stay positive. I didn't tell you what. I'll wait till we bring our guest up to tell you what happened yesterday. I don't know if you heard what happened yesterday, but I'll wait till we bring it up. But we actually have a guest today, Doctor L Teddy. You know, we don't really have a lot of people over here. We have a guest today, someone who is in education
Oh,
and who has
yes.
moved into moved into some other areas, doing some education consulting and things of that nature. So we're gonna bring our guest up, you guys, and we're just gonna kind of shoot around and just have a good old education conversation amongst a crew of black educators and talk about our experiences and what it's looking like. So I want to introduce Mr. Keyshawn Morehead. How are you, sir?
Doing good. How are y'all doing this fine afternoon?
Listen, I'm good. Good old hump day, child. Hump day.
Ain't
It's
nothing
hump day. It is hump day.
right.
It is. So, like I said, Keyshawn is going to join us today. It may look familiar to you guys. You may know him from Chasing Dallas. Now we're going to talk to him. We're going to scoop on the Chasing Dallas later on this week. But today we are just going to talk about all things education. So first of all, I'm gonna just let you kind of introduce yourself and let people know. They kind of know our background in education. We can let you know what our background is, but if you want to kind of just go ahead and just give us a little background on who Mr. Keyshawn is and all of that.
Yeah, sure. One for those who don't know, just a little bit about
Who my son?
I don't know. I think no. I think that because it was going out. Start over. You were going in and out. I could barely hear you.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes. Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey everyone who don't know,
Okay.
John. I started in education as an classroom teacher just a little bit before COVID. And before COVID happened. So I did that for about 2.5 years, and then I moved to Dallas, where I became more of like a curriculum specialist, and now I just like help design like the for like one of the part of in Dallas, Texas. And I also go in the classroom. I,
Okay.
Yeah. No. No.
Something
No.
you
Wait.
were fine.
Yeah. Something is going. You were fine
Audio now. We were.
backstage.
I
Yeah.
my
I don't
headphones. Let me
know if.
Yeah. Try your headphones, or then go
Okay.
out and come back in. Something like that. That may work.
Yeah, 'cause we were
Because you were
backstage. We
fine
was fine. I don't
backstage.
know what.
Hmm.
He sound like he's a baby in this thing. He said he started right before the Romney
Woo!
Room. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Woo! That at that time I was working downtown for the district, teaching the teachers. At that time,
Child. You know I was where I am now,
hmm
child. Where I am now.
nobody used to come
Well,
home
anyway,
every day mad.
hey Lemon Kush, what's up, Cookie? Hey Lady V, what's up, Cams?
Hey everybody.
Hey Boo, what's up, Extra Smoke Dragon? Thank you guys for being here. He's gonna get his earphones. I don't know. We were backstage. He was fine, child. I don't know
Hmm
what just happened.
And
But
if
Cook, I
all
know
and if push comes to
we gonna make
shove,
it.
if all that fails, you can always do the go out, come back in. That usually fixes most problems.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, just
We are
before
definitely.
the panorama, as you call it. Child, oh, we have been in the game for a long time by then. Ooh,
Well, you know how old you are, child.
don't do me. Do not do me as I'll be forced to do you harder.
Anywho, yeah. As it relate to oh shoot, I'm gonna share. I'm gonna just share it out. Um, but that'll be an interesting perspective though, because all
Hmm.
he's ever really known is this world of education. So
can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, he's back.
Okay, because I was trying to
Much
find my
better. Yeah.
headphones. I didn't even want to go through
Sound
my
better.
to try and find them. I don't know how.
Okay. No, we
I
got you
really
now. We got you now. So start over. How
All
did you
right,
get
so
into
good afternoon,
teaching?
everyone. I apologize for the
Okay.
difficulties, but my name is Sean, and just
It's
a little background on me. I started in education as an in the classroom educator. I did that for about 2.5 years. I started a little bit before COVID, so I really didn't get that full traditional classroom experience like the full year because I hopped in and then COVID happened, and I did it like for the whole pandemic season. I was like, yeah, teaching ain't for me.
oh
So
wow.
I went into curriculum specialist, and now I just help design the curriculum for this. Well, for my charter school district, and I go inside the classrooms and help, with classroom expectations, things like that.
What grade level and what subject area?
I started in the classroom, sixth grade social studies, and then I went on to Dallas, and now I do 9 through 12.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
So you
Yeah.
you are mad after my own heart because I am a social studies educator as well. So we were
Yes.
talking
Phenomenal
when you walked
teacher.
away. I was like, so he's a baby in this because we both old.
Mhm.
Okay, we both
Yes.
been around for a long.
Because
I've been around longer.
yeah, because a
She's
little
been
fun
He
around
fact
likes to
since.
call me
about
old. I'm
me,
gonna
before I even got into education, my undergrad is in political science, and I actually worked on
Oh,
let
that's
Capitol
your girl
Hill.
right there, really
me
be.
know.
That's your girl. She's a poli sci as
Yeah,
well. So
I worked on Capitol Hill. I worked for Senator Raphael Warnock, and I worked for Cory Booker for a little bit too.
come on now. Come on. Degreed people.
You
Degreed.
need to go over to El Teddy's channel because he does a whole
I do a
politics
whole
segment on
politics
his
thing.
channel.
Woo!
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh,
Look,
look
I
at
can
that.
get to talking
So
about that
you
forever.
lived in DC for a while.
Yeah, I
So
did.
you lived in
I did.
DC for a while.
Yeah, I did it for a semester in my undergrad because I was coming off the hiatus of
Okay.
working with the great Stacey Abrams on her first campaign, and that was super successful, and I just kept going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where did you go to undergrad?
I
I
went to
love
the
it.
unsinkable Albany State University in
Uh,
Albany, Georgia.
I know y'all call it Albany because if you say Albany, they
Yeah,
might fight you. It's
Albany. That's what they
Albany.
call it.
You know how they are
Albany.
down there. Listen, sidebar. So I've been to Albany State a couple times. When I went, this is back in the day, they used to have a club in this funeral home down there in Albany State. I'll tell you about that backstage. It's such a funny story. Anyway, so but that's so good. Well, so you majored in poli sci at Albany State. That's cool. Somebody told me that you may be Divine Nine. I don't know. You
Hey,
know,
I am. Oh
I
my
hope you didn't pick the
gosh.
wrong
Yes,
one,
I
dear
am.
God.
I am.
I hope
I
you didn't
am.
pick the wrong fraternity because there's only one fraternity in the world that
And
matters.
that is Phi Beta Sigma
Oh
Oh,
fraternity.
Lord.
that's unfortunate. That's
Yes.
so unfortunate. That's so unfortunate because if you're not a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity
Oh,
Incorporated, the only fraternity that matters. But we get into that later. We
yeah.
all make mistakes.
Yes.
Well,
Anyway, but
you
it's
know,
good to have you here. One of our stories that we talked about or wanted to talk about does deal with education and Divine Nine
Mhm.
and post secondary education. We could probably talk about that later if you want. Really, be the one with in Florida, with
Yeah.
House Bill nine nine
uh-huh.
nine. We can talk about that later if you want to. But those are the kinds of stories that we do over here that
Hmm.
we highlight. So that's cool. You have a really good background uh in in terms of professionally. So what is it like? I know I've been down the road are on with doing curriculum and going into classrooms and being at the district level where you are responsible for those kinds of things. How do you find that different from? And I know you say you didn't have the traditional classroom setting like maybe me and really did, but what is it like working with the adults more so than the students?
With this, with Dallas, it's so refreshing because one thing I can say, and not trying to, shade like Texas as a whole, but Georgia curriculum is really top tier. Really top tier. We are ahead of the game. Because when I came into Texas and I looked at their curriculum, it's like I was like, oh my gosh.
Hmm.
Like, I know when I was
Way
trying to be an
behind.
educator, like I can go into Georgia Professional Standards and they have a mock lesson for me. And I literally can base my lessons off of that mock lesson. Texas, where T's, that's what they call it, they don't even have that at all. They have the standards and it's like, make what you can out of it. And if you have some
I
resources for the teachers, then that's what you have. So I was like, wow, yeah.
Believe it or not, I worked in Texas when I was doing curriculum and I was working at the district level. It was in Texas, so I'm familiar with TEA and
Hmm.
all that. And I know coming from Florida, they are light years behind. Like they'll even tell you, "Oh, you got a certificate from so and so state. Oh, you're good over here," because they know that there is way far behind from where other areas are across the country. That's I'm glad you said that because I found the same thing when I
Yes.
was doing the same thing in Texas. So
Yeah, absolutely. And like just for like today, like for their standard assessment, their state standard assessment, they're now for their US history, they're now allowing open response questions. And I was like, well, I remember when I was a teenager, we already had that on our Georgia state assessments. So the fact that Texas is now doing that and it's 2023, I'm like, yeah, like so my teachers, they've been having a hard time like trying to get our kids to write. Like really in this day and age, trying to get them to write is the hardest thing. Like my kids, like
Yeah.
they would take
Yeah.
the assessments and
mhm,
we'll look at it and they would do all of the multiple choice. They'll do all of the matching. But when it comes to those open response, they would deliberately just skip
they
them.
don't want to do
Like,
anything.
mm, yeah. So that's
Yeah.
my one challenge
That is
I've been trying to
definitely
do this year. And being in Dallas, I've been trying to like, how can we get the kids to write more and just encourage them to write, whether it's about anything, just write. We need you to express your thoughts. What's going on in your brain?
Coming from English as an English teacher, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I know what that's like. I know really B teaches AP. I taught AP and actually did curriculum for AP for many years, and so we know all what you're talking about. But I know, and what's so funny, what I wanted to talk about was the education gap because some of these not countries, but they do call it the country of Texas. But some of these states that are so bigoted and discriminatory and racist in their education departments are so far behind in terms of standards and curriculum and so forth. And I think that was one of the main reasons why a lot of these states were against Common Core because it would really show how far behind they were. That's why they are always fighting things like AP and trying to get it, dumb it down to, the most because they know that they are so behind the curve educationally that, it just doesn't stand up
Yeah,
to what others are doing.
I agree 1,000% because the charter school district I work for, they're a IB for all. So they don't even do AP at all. Like it's just IB. They want like the kids to have the worldly thoughts, like, to be like change makers in the world, thing like that. And that's great, but it's kind of hard to, be an IB for all school in the state of Texas. And you want these kids to, think critically on their own and still, intertwine with the Texas state standards. And I'm like, in US history, this is kind of hard. So we try to do that a little bit. And yeah, it's definitely a challenge with Texas, but I see that they're slowly getting into that, and I see some of and I'm trying not to be a little policy buff with Texas because Texas got a long way to go, and I see their educational policy could use a lot more. Like, yeah, so hmm
that's actually I was gonna say was a good segue because I teach IB as well, and I imagine trying to implement the IB, I mean the AP as well, but certainly the IB curriculum with the current political climate in Texas right now. So
Mhm.
that's actually a way into I know you still work there, so I don't want you to have to put two, but your I guess what are your challenges with this, the book banning and the LGBTQ, curriculum. What have your challenges been as it relates to implementing a lot of these new policies or
Um,
ideals and still trying to push the curriculum?
yeah, being very open and transparent. Um, right now for my school district, for the IB for all, school district, my kids don't even have a textbook. Like they don't have a textbook. So they don't have a textbook. Um they don't even have a summer reading, which I'm trying to next school year. I want to implement a summer reading for US history because they have a summer reading for the DP, which is the 11th and 12th grade, but they don't have it for MYP. So I'm trying to incorporate that because it's like specifically for the 10th grade, because if we want them to matriculate from the MYP to the DP program, they need to already at least have a soft summer reading so they can have those skills for DP for 11th and 12th grade. And so I want to incorporate just some of those traditional things that I know I grew up on that helped shape and molded me. And I think that if they have that, that will help them, especially with this is high school. Like these are young adults; they are capable of doing this. Like let's not hold their
I
hands so much in this educational process because when they get to college, that's why we have so many first year dropouts because these school districts and these charter school districts has held their hands so long
Hmm.
that they get to the point where it's
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Yeah,
well, why you're not assisting me with
absolutely.
this? And it's like, yeah, so
Um,
So I have actually
wow,
hold
you
on.
said a
Uh,
mouthful.
uh, Let me just real quick, yeah, because I know real quick. I thought of two questions. So my question is, when you say summer reading, are you finding yourself limited in your options? Because we talk a lot about
oh
the
yeah.
policies that are going on. So you're on the grounds, your boots on the ground. Are you finding that to be a challenge when you say, okay, I want these kids to reading? Oh, wait a minute, these are all the books that I can't use. Are you finding that to be a challenge within? Okay, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's definitely a
I
challenge.
get it.
It's definitely a challenge because right now when I'm well next month what I want to do, I'm looking at trying to generate a list for my teachers. So it's like, hey, you don't have to choose this one book. At least, this is the list of books that we can choose from the state of Texas with the charter school district, approval. We can use this and you can give it to your kids to read. I don't want to bombard them with, a lot of work because I know they're going to have it for English as well. So I want them to at least have, a small, easy read for U.S. history. And then they come in out the gate like, look, summer read, text, like, so they can at least have their rigor behind it.
Yeah,
Because if this is an IB for our network,
there you
we
go.
need to make sure that we are coping with them with those skills.
I
Um,
got you. Go ahead, Elton. You had a question.
my question is kind of deep, but so as a black man first, but then as a black man who has residence down here to the Rainbow Coalition compound, as do I. But what is it like in a state where the education system is doing everything to well, I know the statistics. I know from Texas that they're at the bottom in terms of black male educators in the country. They're the bottom, I think, 2% in terms of black male educators in the country. Don't add the LGBTQ plus to that. And so I'm sure when you go to different places, although you're not the teacher, you may, because we easily identify, oh, that's one of us over there. And you may have those students that may reach out to you and may look for help and support on one angle, but you have a whole school district and state education board that's saying, no, you're not going to help them at all. How do mitigate that challenge of the two? Because you want to help, but then you have people saying, no, you can't help these kids who need all of the help you can give them.
Oh, and that's something I still struggle with because to be honest, I struggle with it in Georgia. Like my first 2 years of teaching, knowing that my kids were not ready to move on, like I knew some of my kids had, these 504s and IEPs, and I couldn't necessarily diagnose them with it. I had to do the necessary, paperwork to get them, tested and all of that. And just knowing that it's harder for me to fail a student than to pass a student. And I'm like, oh, like it just boiled my blood. And it's even harder in Texas. It's just like you just have to have those moments as a human and just, be like, parent, this is what I need for you to do because I want your child to be equipped with the best. And I believe that your child should have all of these accommodations so they can be successful in this educational aspect, like milk the charter system and the public education system to its nearest dollar because they have the resources and the funds to do it. And it's just like when we like public schools and sometimes charter schools, they are quick to like give up on the student and they'll be like, hey, like we just gonna ship them off somewhere else. This is not our problem. But one thing I can say, I'm so happy about this district I work for. Like we are like honing in on those students that definitely need that problem that needs those special accommodations and everything. And we don't identify those students as like special needs. We just like small group. We consider it like small group. So we like work with them. Like for example, like because I teach in the high school like aspect, it's like for my kids they have to because they still have like a graduation test in Texas, by the way, like they have to pass. So like for those students that have special accommodations, like they take it the first time, just take it. Like they take it, and if they fail, it's like, okay, we're going to, watch eyes on you. And then the second time they take it, it's like, okay, now we know that you are raising like a red flag. Let's go ahead and put the proper steps and protocols in so we can assist you. Then they take it a third time, and if they fail, then we know like, okay, this is the proper like procedures we have to go by in order getting this student what they need so they can. And then they take it one more time, and then if they just don't pass it, then you know what we would normally do. So yeah.
What are some of the things that teachers are saying? You're on the ground, and with all of these rules and laws and things that people are barking at the teachers, what do they say to you when you go out there and you talk to them or you observe them or you do a walkthrough? What are some of their complaints? What are some of their frustrations that they have literally being in the trenches on the ground? What are some of the things that they're saying?
The teachers really want to honestly just teach and have the support. Like it is so hard and I know exactly where they're coming from to be a teacher and yet and still have to do parent contacts because you're having behavior issues or you have to, you have these non-negotiables from your certain campus you are on that they just want you to meet, and then you have to make sure that you have 2 grades in or 3 grades in a week and make sure that you're grading all of these assignments. And teachers they still have their personal lives and everything like that. And with planning periods or PDs and things like that or DDIs and all of that stuff,
Hmm.
you are like inundated with so much work and you still want this teacher to do these non-negotiables. It's like,
Hmm.
where is the leverage
Look,
on some of the administrators or some of this? And I know definitely me now being outside the classroom and I see like some of these administrators and some of them do, I'm like, you can definitely, carry some of this load as well. Because not everything you're doing, you have to just necessarily just drop everything you do. You can take care of some of this stuff too. So I see it now and I'm like, yeah, and that's why now that I do the help design curriculum, like I like not I'm gonna be all over the place. I know, but if like my teachers need me, they be like, hey, I don't know what to do with this lesson plan. Can you help guide me or like show me like what would be a good lesson plan? And it's been a challenge for me because I was so used to, hey, let me go in Georgia professional standards, let me see this mock lesson and let me see how I can retweak it and internalize it on my end. And with Texas, it's not like that. So I really been like it's been a challenge this year for me, but because this is an IB for all network, I've been able to make it more personable for the students and myself, so that it's interlining with the standards, but also with the school and the network as well.
Okay. Pretty
Ooh,
B, are you
that is, you
frozen?
have a listen. I
Oh, okay.
number number one. Are you frozen? Am I frozen?
No, you
Oh,
was for a second, but we got you back.
mhm.
No, because again, thank you. Again, so let me give you a little catch up on what we do over here. So, El Teddy and I, we both have our other YouTube channels, but earlier on, our friend, we both educators and we're both passionate. At the time, El Teddy was working in Texas doing curriculum and things like that, and we were very passionate. And so I said, I really want to do an education podcast so we can sort of focus on that affect our kids of color, as well as kids who are part of the LGBTQ community. Because El Teddy and I had a lot of offline conversations, and I asked him about how far behind my district is as it relates to creating safe spaces for students who are LGBT community. And we literally started this channel in January, and 2 months later, the Panorama happened. And so we immediately kind of switched gears on what it was we were doing, because then it was about helping parents deal with your kids are home all day. What resources are available? What do you need to do? How are you going to keep your kids where they need to be? It sort of shifted. We're sort of
Yeah,
now kind of coming back around, and
yeah,
we news articles about what's going on, and Texas is always one. So I appreciate what you're doing, and being because we know that you guys, I mean, teachers are under attack. We know that you are in one
yeah.
of the areas that is getting double. It's getting it
Yes.
double.
Now it is so crazy,
Have
right?
you
They are.
found?
No, you can go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And it's so crazy. Like
No,
Texas
I
is
was
under
done. Go ahead. I
attack.
mean, I wasn't done, but go ahead. I want you to talk.
Oh, I was saying like it's so crazy. Texas is under attack, with the teachers and everything. But their pay, y'all, their pay is something crazy. Like what they asked me, like what they offered me, I literally dropped my job, and I was like, let me see if I can get more, and they still gave me more, and I was like. Like, what? This is crazy. Like, that's how I know it's a problem because y'all are willing to throw so much money at this just to fix it. And I was like,
Oh,
yeah,
that
it's
question why you
crazy.
went to Texas.
Yeah, the money,
Yeah, well, that
what
answers
they're
the
paying me
question
in
about
Texas,
Texas.
Georgia would have never paid me this unless I knew somebody that sat on the board. To be honest, at my age, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Well,
Interesting.
listen, congratulations. You
I ain't
better
mad
get
at
it.
it.
What have, yeah, I ain't mad at it either. Now you keep saying charter, so you work in a charter system, work in the public school part of the education.
Yeah, I work for a charter. This is actually my first time ever working for a charter school. Yeah, so I work for a charter district in Dallas, and it's like 100 of them. I didn't even. I was so not used to that. I'm like the only charter school district I ever knew in Georgia was like KIPP. So seeing so many like charter schools in Texas, I was like, this is like overwhelming a little bit.
And what do you find?
That's how it is.
How did you deal with the differences from going from public to charter? Like, what were some of the biggest challenges you saw there?
The one thing that because they do have some pros and cons, and I can say like definitely from a public school because I worked for Atlanta Public Schools previously, and with Atlanta Public Schools they have a lot of resources. They have a lot of allocated funds to have resources for teachers, but it definitely depends on the leadership at these schools. And my first middle school I was at for my first year, it was amazing, phenomenal, fantastic, gave me all the foundations of being in the classroom teacher. My second year, I moved to a different middle school. It was one of those um, heavily like the targeted middle school, so you already know how that was. And yeah, I had no support. I was like in the ocean with the life raft, like as like drowning. I was literally drowning. And yeah, but the charter school, it's a little bit more, whatever approach works best for you, as long as we are getting the results and the good results that we need. And and if that's working, then stick with that. We'll definitely touch bases with you to make sure that you need any support. And if you do need that support, we're going to give it all to you as long as you say you need it. Now, if you don't, a closed mouth don't get fed in the charter school system. You don't ask, they're not gonna give it. And so that's one thing I learned about the charter school districts. And also it's not a lot of PD because, like with charter school districts, you could be the only teacher in that school teaching that subject. So you'll be the only person. Like it'll be you and you having to contact your curriculum specialist, which is me. That's why I'm like I wish it was like some more veterans because I'm like I am not from Texas, but I'm making it work though. I'm definitely seeing how it is with Texas, and I'm just prepping for like next year now.
Okay. Okay. How
All right.
and as a segue, so as Texas was one of the states that laid the blueprint for Florida and a whole lot of other states to follow with regard to removing resources for LGBTQ youth, doing book bans, thwarting what they believe was what they call CRT, but was truly real American history. And Texas was one of the first states that had laws on the books about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, not being a part of any state-funded institution. So we see that happening. They're doing that across the country now in certain states, and there's a bill that just came out that's hit the house, that's about to hit the House floor in Florida, where they're going to do this on the college level now, where they're going to start to remove courses, majors, and even start to come at organizations, clubs, and groups that are founded on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they're going to start to do that. What do you have you seen any of that? And I'm not sure if you've even been over to or worked with or been around the universities, but knowing that that's happening, what are some of your thoughts being from a HBCU, being a member of Divine Nine, and all of those
It's
things
so
and that stuff?
That is so crazy. But you want to know something? I actually remember it was my senior year and at Albany State, and I know that Georgia wanted to pass. It was like a House bill for something something where they wanted to combine Albany State, Fort Valley, and Savannah State and call them like GAMU. And that's what they wanted to call us to, the diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's your one big HBCU. Here you go. Thank you so much. That's exactly what Georgia tried to do. But we blocked that bill because how dare you sit right here and try and do that? So actually, Georgia did try and play that a couple of years ago, and that's how I kind of remembered that. So the fact that they are doing that, it just goes to show you what they're trying to do and how they are really trying to attack minorities, and as far as really like the higher education of minorities, which child, that'll make me go right back into the law, which technically Texas, y'all will be kind of defeating ourselves because in Sweat versus Painter in 1957, y'all specifically made these modifications for minorities and
Come on
African
now.
Americans to have these. So, ugh, it's so much. That's why I'm like,
Come on now.
look, I know I be
Go
reading
ahead.
the law, like that's the political science in me.
Go ahead, Polly.
So it's like, how can
Man.
they sit right here and try and,
Yes, Polly.
get rid of the diversity and equity and inclusion with it? But y'all have already had Supreme Court cases that have been placed in effect to, bombard all of this. Like, y'all are playing games at this point, and I just want to, like, just state the obvious and the facts. And the facts are, some of these people that are elected into these positions, they do not want to see the advancement of, minorities and ethnic groups. They just don't want to see that. And the fact that you are trying to now come after, these organizations, these HBCUs, these minority serving institutions, that just says a lot. Like, and the sad part is being open and honest, like the D9s, which is a whole nother story, like they can do so much better than what they have been doing altogether. Because you trying to attack them, it's like, hell, they got their own problems they gotta fix
And
anyway.
you know what, Sean, and really be, I talked about this, how D9 came together real fast to cancel that show on VH1 Sorority System, whatever it was called.
I'm talking about so bad.
I mean, it was fast. Boom. But now they're talking about this could be an attack on. It was real quick. Like they was real fast. But now they're talking about this bill could be an attack on Black student unions at PWIs, which we know is needed. Divine Nine organization, not even just Divine Nines. You got sororities and fraternities like Sigma Lambda Beta and Sigma Lambda Gamma for Latinx community. There are ones for the Asian community as well. So where are these presidents of all of these organizations that should come together and say, nope, it's time to again for us to do this, because this could be an existential threat, because we've seen on this channel when one state does it and is successful, it becomes the blueprint, and all the other red states start to do it along with them, and that could be a real problem. That's a real problem.
It really can. But even for my organization, they have a long way to go for us before they could get to banning altogether or coming all together to solve this problem. Because you can't be the pot calling the kettle black, and you're not gonna sit right here and stand. You're gonna stand for one thing, but you're not gonna stand for the next.
Interesting. I'm
So
glad you brought that out, and I know where you're going there. So let me just call it out. I don't mind calling stuff out. It is hypocritical for some of these organizations to have their feelings about LGBTQ and not want to openly embrace their membership that's LGBTQ, so much so that you have people that have to hide themselves until after they, pledge and finish that process. But then you want diversity, equity, and inclusion from white people who don't want to see it for Black people. Like, it is talking out of both
absolutely,
sides of your neck.
absolutely correct. And I just say this because I see it every June. June 1st comes, and I would say my fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma, does a really good job of saying Happy Pride Month to the members of Phi Beta Sigma, but not all of the D9 is in support of that, and they would not show their support for a Pride Month, even though it is only 1 month. But I'm just like, and you think I'm about to sit right here and continue to be a lifetime financial member and go to all of these conclaves and, show my support for this organization that I am pouring so much into, that I am not getting poured back into? I said, this is like a fatherless relationship. I'm pouring my all into you, and you are giving me nothing. You are shutting the door on me. I refuse to, deal with that. And I think that not denouncing my fraternity or anything like that, but I will, let them know, like, hey, if you want me to be active and show my underlying support to you all, these are some things that we need to come together on and come in agreement with. And if you can't do that for me, then hey, I will give you the utmost respect and gratitude for allowing me into your organization, but you will get my yearly support, and that's about it. Yeah.
Interesting.
I know that's right.
Interesting. Really be, I know how to took over the
I
question. Go ahead,
know
Ruby.
that's well, because I know El Teddy spoke on that yesterday when because to speak for him a little bit, Kappa Alpha Psi is having their conclave in Florida this year, and he was saying that at this point it's too late to cancel. You can't change the con. I mean, this is 5 games, but what we can do while we're there is make a stand as a Divide Nine. Is admonish Florida and what's going on in Florida. Like, we can stand united. We can't physically pull out. There's just, you can't do it. But do something to come together and make a stand. And I say that about not just about Florida, not just about Kappa Alpha Psi. I say that about all organizations that I'm a member of. We've got our meeting in Tampa this summer, So it's not just Kappas, We do need to come together, and we do need to, like you said, we need to stand for it, because it is Florida is right in the, and you'll understand this, Sean. I've said this on this channel before, and when I look at what DeSantis is doing in Florida, what he has done in Florida, he's taken Hitler's playbook, he's taken Mussolini's playbook, he's taken Stalin's playbook. You eliminate any opposition, and then you push through your legislation. So now people are paying attention to Florida and going, well, why won't Florida stop? Why is he able to get away with it? Because y'all weren't paying attention when he packed the Supreme Court. Y'all weren't paying attention when he put his people in place and pushed out the other people. Attention, he did that. And so now we, as a studier of history, right, now have to say to do to stop it from continuing to progress. And it will take the support and the coming together of the larger organizations to say that. What scares me is.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Did you freeze up, or did I freeze?
No. I was saying. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Y'all know I have a delay. My apology. I have a delay. I fixed it, but I guess I didn't. But my what scares me the most is I do look at Florida, and Florida has written a blueprint, and I see a Texas, and I see a Georgia, I see a Virginia following that blueprint. That's all. Go ahead, El Teddy. I was just finishing my thoughts.
What I was going to say was, even further with these organizations, what I think was dangerous and derelict of duties for the heads of these organizations is the fact that they haven't looked at the history of their own organizations and us as a people. Our movement, going all the way back to the abolitionist movement, that goes back to Prince Hall Freemasons. And then if you come forward to the civil rights era, it was Prince Hall Freemasonry and the Divine Nine. We talking Brown versus Board of Education, which did integration. They were right there on the front lines. All of those civil rights movement, those organizations came together and said, we may be different, but we are all here for the same reason. And I think that we've gotten, and this was, white people were very much a part of this. There has become this infighting amongst each other. We don't like these group of black people because of this. We don't like these group of black people because of that. And there's such infighting that we've stopped being able to come together around this one united cause. And now we're just divisive, and they've divided and conquered us. And I don't know what's going to be the catalyst, because every time we see a moment, something comes and we say, oh, this is it. This is when we're all going to come together. And it never happens. And then what's happening is it's going to be too late. The cart is going to be way too far down the street, and we won't be able to catch up.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of people kind of forget what was the next phase for Martin Luther King. And it was the Poor People's March. It was the Poor People's Campaign. And we're still fighting it to this day. I mean, and that wasn't just a specific fight for African Americans. It was for all people of color, because the Mexican Americans was fighting their own fight, as well as the Asian Americans. And the goal was for Martin Luther King to band all of them together and for them to sit their ass at Washington, D.C. until they had poverty laws in place that would have been mandated by the Supreme Court. And he didn't care how long they sat their ass there. But they were gonna sit there on Washington D.C. and camp there as long as it took to get those laws passed. And I bet you those laws would have got passed for sure. But see, that's the thing. It started and then it stopped. And then people just said, you know what, we just gonna forget about it. And that's when everybody decided to go their separate way. And then black people just was like, hey, you know, I got my little penny. I'm gonna take my little penny and take my ass right on to the east side and be happy, moving on up. And that's what it was.
You right.
Oh yeah,
You ain't listen,
absolutely.
Sean. You ain't listen. You are not lying, and I'm listening because you are right there. Listen,
Because police brutality
I
been happening. Police brutality been happening in the 1960s in LA. They've been having riots in LA before the 90s. Let's come on now. Before the 50s,
you can go back
in the
further.
20s.
You can go red. Yeah, you can go back to the red summer of 1919. You could go back further.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we know that this has been an issue. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like so. First of all, let me say this before. I've enjoyed this conversation, and
I have too.
if you ever want to just come on over. Listen, I have enjoyed the conversation and getting to know you, better. And I definitely have some questions come Friday dealing with chasing Dallas and what I've learned about you. But I enjoyed the conversation, and you have a open invitation whenever you want to come back through. If you want to just sit down and chew the fat with us, when we just like I said, we pull topics and we just discuss what's going on, and we talk about empowerment and action and what we can do locally, and that kind of thing.
Thank y'all so much. Oh my gosh, now that I know y'all have this podcast, I am going to make sure I subscribe because I love this. And I might just have me some questions being in the audience. I love to pick
we be here
on these topics because I'd be like, okay, what would they do in this situation? Or like, how would they move? Like, one of my real good friends, Dr. Zachary Kurt, I love picking his brain with this stuff because he do his own little podcast too, and he's been an educator for for a great amount of years as well.
As long as really be,
huh?
As long as really be over here.
Yeah.
She been teaching six.
Don't listen to him. He like calling me old. Don't do it. He just like calling me old.
So I just love it. I love networking with, like-minded individuals. And hey, look, to be very honest, this is how I got the job in Dallas. Really just networking and just getting to know people and like picking their brains. They're like, you know what? You really know a lot about this. Let me put you on to this or that. And I'd be like, oh, thank you so much. Because
we be over here doing the Lord's work.
I'm telling you, we do. We literally do.
Okay. Tracy, in the comments, Tracy, he already kind of answered that question. Tracy was asking, do you have any teachers that are struggling with modifications to curriculum with the new laws? He kind of already spoke to that. That is definitely something he's been dealing with and struggling with. Because not just finding out that there's not also the modification to the state testing where they're adding the open-ended questions that you are struggling with helping teachers go through. Also should say this too. I'll take like I said, Texas, and he wrote curriculum in different district where you are. But again, pick his brain. Shoot, don't pick his brain. Look at him. Look.
Right. No. I'm okay with it because I did. Really, B knows I did. Even though I come from English, but I did English and social studies because of the size of the district, and I did English and social studies, and I specialized in advanced academics with them as well. So on the high school 9 through 12. So yeah, I know all about it. But I listen. If we do nothing, I need to just get your cash out because I'm gonna send you some money so you can go down to HEB, and I need you to go to the HEB, get a big vat of Crisco oil, drive down to Austin, and go to that wheelchair ramp down to the governor's mansion. and line it up with some crystal oil and just push Governor Hot Wheels down that good wheelchair ramp. Now I'm not
Man,
saying the
and
same thing that
I
happened to
said something, and I said, it's a damn problem, and not trying to talk about disabled people when they sat right here and elected a damn governor in a wheelchair. That's how I know I can't trust Texas. And now y'all,
Governor Hot Wheels be around there. Oh God, ranting and raving.
and you know what I also learned with because I was telling some of my parents too. How the kids love TikTok. And TikTok, although they have all their craziness on there, TikTok can be very educational now. And that Texas they want to
They've
ban
already banned it.
campuses altogether.
Mm-hmm. Because they don't want people to find out. Because TikTok will give you some facts. They'll go and do their research and have receipts for you. They'll be like, nope, we don't pull this up. They don't want you to get that kind of information. Yeah. They don't want you to have access to that.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing this with Tracy. I'm not doing this with Tracy.
1982.
Was I even born in 1982? Tracy.
She said you curriculum in 1982. It don't count, honey. It don't count. Yeah. But I'd say this. But I will say this. So I look forward. I do a conversation where we'll focus more on Chasing Dallas, and that'll be on my main YouTube channel. El Teddy will be there, and I don't know if some other people may decide to do, but I'm telling you,
that's the conversation I really don't like to do. I like this conversation here. I feel like I can make
Me too.
More.
Me too. This the conversation I like to have.
By Friday, we have a conversation amongst friends, child. We'll just be shooting the breeze. But and like I said, I'll talk to you. We'll talk offline real quick when we get off of here, because I'm looking forward to it though, because I have so many more questions now as it just relates to your experience and everything. I know. Again, I don't want to start going down that road, but I just want to say thank you. We're right now.
Yeah, like that's what makes me so passionate being on that show. Like me, when people like, oh, he keep talking about his degrees and what. Look, I came from the slums of Atlanta, Georgia, like Boulevard, West Side Atlanta, like nothing. And for me to be 25 and having multiple degrees, moving from one big city to the next big city, and not being inside of the classroom, that is the ultimate biggest thing I could ever give myself as an achievement in life. And I am thankful for being on Chasing Dallas, but I'm not going to let no man, no woman, no child, because there's plenty of childs on that show, playing on me and who I am and what I do. Because
that's right.
Some of y'all ain't even shitting where I eat. Let's be clear on that. And I'm living comfortably. But as I always say today on that.
I'm 100% with you. I'm 100% with you, and you are among multiple degreed people on this. You have two.
That's why when people try to come for us, we be like, go.
Listen, so you are among your people, okay? And listen, I clown. Well, I did joke with you about it. I said, don't turn into Wendy or Cepho now, talking about all your degrees. But
and we say that because we say that because me and Really B. Yeah, we have hell between the two of us. We probably got 10 degrees, double-digit degrees between the two of us. But you'll never hear us out here, baby. I got 8,000 degrees, baby. I don't have to do that. I know who I am. And I know who you are.
I just had to let them know, like, before you come playing on me and what I do and how I get my money, I'm like, this is what I do. I do it well. I probably can help you.
Right. Be like, we don't even deserve to be in the same airspace. Please know where you are.
Right.
Some of them could help, okay? And that's the thing, it's okay. it's okay to be proud because I'm listening to you. You're 25 years old. You worked on Capitol Hill. You've worked for multiple high-ranking politicians. You've worked on a campaign for got a loan, and then you still managed to get your master's degree. And move, like you said, move into a district level job. Listen, that's nothing to sneeze at. For those of us who are in education, we definitely get it. That's nothing to sneeze at. But sometimes when you among what's the word I'm looking for, LT?
The girls.
I ain't gonna say it because I don't want to.
The members of the Rainbow Coalition.
Use that word.
The people who are beneath you, the cellar dwellers.
That's what you
the
call
bottom feeders.
Right? The peasants.
Girl, the only degrees you got is the degrees that they giving out at the bar. The bar. Girl, don't do it,
Eddie. And we're gonna wrap this
up. Thank y'all so much for having me. I would definitely be coming back for sure. Thank y'all so much.
Yes.
Listen, we need you to hang on. Don't press that because we need you to hang out backstage so we can ask you some stuff backstage. So hang out just for a second.
Okay.
Don't go nowhere.
But for those of you, thank you everybody for being here. Hey Tracy, I see you all up and through the chat. You know, Tracy, you always. And Tracy said that she said this conversation has definitely helped her see a different side of you because she watches Dallas as well. So she said this has definitely helped her see a different side of you. So absolutely, that's what we're here for. So we're gonna go ahead and shut this down. But Sean, you right back for a second. And y'all, we'll see y'all next week, child. We'll see y'all next week. I'm about to hit the button.